Tracing the Yellowstone Highway in Converse County. In the southern portion of Converse County, the Yellowstone Highway paralleled the North Platte River and utilized the general corridor of the 19th century Oregon Trail and today's Interstate 25. It entered the county just south of Orange Junction, where the Chicago and Northwestern Railway joined the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad. Today, this road is State Route 319. At the south border of Converse County, the Yellowstone Highway was located on the west side of the North Platte River, then crossed to the east side on a long wooden bridge near McKinley, a railroad siding. Today, the highway crosses the river via a modern steel and concrete bridge. Just south of the river, there is a historical marker erected in 1937 commemorating the James Bridger Ferry. At Orange Junction, early travelers had to cross two sets of railroad tracks on an incline and at an angle. This hazardous crossing was removed in 1936 when an overpass was built and the highway was rerouted past Orin. Near today's Orange Junction interchange and rest area on I-25, a concrete marker was found along a short segment of historic highway. Inscribed F57 on one side and F201 on another, the marker indicates the point where Federal Aid Project 57 ended and Federal Aid Project 201 began. Both projects were carried out in the early to mid-1920s. Northwest to Douglas, the old route roughly follows the present-day frontage roads for Interstate 25. The biennial reports of the Wyoming Highway Commission routinely discuss the early improvements to the Yellowstone Highway. Under a series of federal aid projects, the existing roadway was gradually improved, and new corrugated iron pipe and reinforced concrete culverts were built. Reinforced concrete bridges were built over Indian Creek and Deer Creek. Most significantly, a reinforced concrete arch bridge, described as Luton design, over the North Platte River, replaced an old wooden bridge built in 1914. The North Platte River Bridge. In 1921, the contract was awarded for the construction of a new bridge over the North Platte River at Douglas under Federal Aid Project 119, and work began in September 1922. The bridge was a concrete 5-span reinforced cantilevered structure 416 feet long. Although it resembled a concrete arch bridge, it was in fact a concrete deck girder structure, with the girders carried continuously over the piers. The bottom of each pier was buried into the bedrock of the river, 27 feet below the road surface. The 20-foot wide roadway was protected on both sides by concrete bridge railings. Lights were added soon after the bridge was completed in 1923. The new bridge represented a major event in Douglas. According to the Douglas Enterprise, the new bridge was badly needed. The old wooden structure has been repaired until there is scarcely a place left solid enough to hold a nail. The Levy Construction Company of Denver, Colorado was the main contractor. By October, the large workforce was laying the concrete piers, which needed to be completed before spring runoff. By June 26, 1923, the public was crossing the new bridge. The Douglas Enterprise raved. "This bridge is one of a very few of this type ever built and is the best structure of the kind ever constructed in Wyoming. It is of sufficient width to allow 2 vehicles to pass easily and will be lighted by the city." The cost of the bridge totaled over $58,000. But by 1953, the bridge had become too narrow to accommodate modern traffic, and several accidents had occurred. Local residents feared that Douglas would be bypassed by a realignment of the Yellowstone Highway if the bridge was not widened. The bid for renovation was let to a Casper contractor for about $100,000. It was widened by 15 feet on the south side, resulting in a 30-foot wide roadway and a 5-foot pedestrian walkway. The local newspaper stated, "Within about 3 months, autos and trucks will be able to cross the Platte River Highway Bridge without worrying about knocking each other into the waters below." The 1953 addition to the south side of the bridge mirrored the original so that it was difficult to detect except from below. The original concrete piers were widened, as were the abutments. The new structure also had matching arched spans. The concrete railings were removed and replaced with steel railings. In 2008, this bridge was raised and construction began on the newest bridge to cross the North Platte River at Douglas. According to historian Clayton Frazier, the North Platte River Bridge was a rare example of a concrete cantilevered structure and was an uncommon example of large-scale use of concrete construction by the Wyoming State Highway Department early in its history. It represented a major departure from the metal truss bridges and lesser wood timber bridges commonly used throughout the early Wyoming highway system.